You hit your 40s and something just hits different, doesn't it? It's not the end of the line, not by a long shot, but it's this strange, quiet audit of the soul. It's like you've been running a marathon, and you finally hit this marker, and you stop for a breath, and you look back. You look at the life you've built, the decisions you've made, the person you've become, and for many, this is the decade when the bill, it finally comes due. The bill for every time you said yes when your soul was screaming no. The bill for every time you smiled when you wanted to scream. That vague, persistent hum of wrongness you could ignore in your 30s. It's suddenly a blaring alarm. The title of this reflection is The Painful Cost of Not Choosing Yourself in Your 40s. Because that's what it is, isn't it? A cost. A deep, aching psychic cost that has been quietly accumulating interest for decades. We spend so much of our lives making decisions, what to wear, where to live, who to be with. But how often do we make the one decision that actually matters? The decision to simply be ourselves. Not the person your parents wanted, not the person society expected. Just you. Plain and simple. In your 40s, the universe stops accepting excuses. The check engine light of the soul is on, and it's no longer just a suggestion. The distractions don't work anymore. The promotions, the new car, the it's fine. It all feels a little gray, lifeless. This isn't just another video. This is a conversation about that quiet ache. We're going to talk about why this decade is the tipping point, what the real cost of inauthenticity looks like, and what happens when you finally decide to choose yourself. It's not what you think.
For decades, many of us live life on a stage. We're performing. In our 20s, we were just learning the script, trying to get the lines right, desperate for the applause. In our 30s, we were perfecting the role, the good partner, the responsible employee, the successful parent, the together friend. We were busy, we were climbing, we were proving something. But to whom? We're performing for this invisible audience in our heads, this shadowy board of directors, always watching, always judging, always keeping score. It's the echo of our parents, our teachers, our culture, their disappointed whispers, their conditional approval.
But in your 40s, you start to get tired. The performance is exhausting, the mask is heavy. It's fused to your skin. You look out into that invisible audience, and for the first time you realize there's nobody there. Or if there is, their applause suddenly sounds hollow, like rain on a tin roof. It doesn't nourish you. It doesn't even touch you. You've spent half your life trying to get it right, to make it work, to prove something to someone you'll probably never even meet. And the cost, the painful cost, is the person you locked away backstage so the show could go on. This is the central conflict of midlife. It's the moment the life you've built slams headfirst into the life you've repressed. You start asking those dangerous questions. Is this it? After all this climbing, is this the view? Am I living this for me? Or for them? Most of us never even think to ask that, because we're too busy performing. We're too afraid of what might happen if we stop, if we drop the script, if we walk off the stage. We're afraid of the silence. We're afraid of who we might be without the applause. And here's the painful truth. When you don't choose yourself, you are, by default, choosing to live for that invisible audience. You're choosing the echoes over your own voice. The cost is your authenticity. The cost is your vitality, your curiosity, your joy. You're walking around in clothes that don't fit, pretending you're comfortable. But in your 40s, you finally admit, these clothes aren't just uncomfortable. They're chafing. They're cutting off your circulation. They're suffocating you. But what happens when the performance costs more than the applause is worth? What happens when you finally see the script and realize you didn't write a single word of it? The moment you even think about taking off the mask, one word screams in your mind. It's a failsafe, a trap, selfish. We've been taught, deeply conditioned, that choosing yourself is the ultimate sin, that it means abandoning your responsibilities, ignoring the people you love, running away to some island to forget about the world. This programming is the primary defense mechanism of the Matrix, the system that needs you to keep performing. It's the invisible fence, electrified with guilt, that keeps you trapped in a life that doesn't fit. And this guilt, it's especially potent in your 40s, isn't it? You have responsibilities. You have a mortgage, maybe kids, a partner, a career. You've built an entire ecosystem that depends on you playing your role. To choose yourself now feels irresponsible. It feels destructive. So, you stay. You tell yourself it's the noble thing to do. This toxic martyrdom. You sacrifice your own truth on the altar of responsibility. And you continue to pay the price in small daily installments of resentment, exhaustion, and emptiness. But this is the great lie. Choosing yourself is not about rejecting life. It's about accepting it. It's about finally accepting your life. It's about self-fullness, not selfishness. It's about filling your own cup so you're not constantly trying to drink from everyone else's. The most selfish thing you can actually do is to keep living a lie. It's selfish to force your family to live with your inauthentic, resentful, half-dead energy. It's selfish to deny the world the unique gifts that only your true self can offer. You see, choosing yourself is not an act of aggression against others. It is an act of honesty for yourself and for them. It's about recognizing that you are not a machine. You are not a good little robot that does what it's told. You came here to be alive, to feel deeply, to be human. And you cannot do that if you are not being yourself. Stopping the pretense isn't an act of selfishness. It's an act of survival. It is the most profound act of love, starting with the self. This isn't just about feeling better. It's about finally becoming real. And the first step to becoming real is a terrifying, sudden awakening. This awakening, it's often not gentle. It's not a soft sunrise. It's a sudden, violent, complete shattering. It's like someone throwing open the curtains in a dark room you've been living in for 20 years, and the sunlight just pours in, and it hurts. This is what people call the midlife crisis. But it's not a crisis. It's an unraveling. It's a breakthrough. It's the moment you realize the ladder you've been climbing for 2 decades is leaning against the wrong wall. You begin to see your life as it actually is, not as you've been pretending it is, not as others have told you it should be. And maybe you realize you're in the wrong job. It's not just stressful, it's soul-killing. Maybe you see with terrifying clarity that your relationship isn't working and hasn't been for a decade. Maybe you understand that the beautiful life you've built is a beautiful, intricate, perfectly decorated cage. And you were the one who locked the door. This is the ultimate clothes that don't fit moment. In your 40s, the seams don't just feel tight, they rip. And that is terrifying. Because now you have to make choices, real choices, not the safe choices, not the comfortable choices, but the choices that honor who you actually are. This is the point of maximum tension. This clarity, at first, it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like vertigo. You're standing at the edge of your old life, looking down at the unknown. This is where most people turn back. They get to this point, and they say, no, this is too much. I can't do this. It's easier to go back to sleep. It's easier to pretend everything is fine. Easier to just sew the seams back up. But you can't. Not really. Once you've seen the truth, you can't unsee it. Once you've felt what it's like to be yourself, even for a second, you can't go back to being someone else. The door has been opened, and even if you try to close it, there will always be that crack, that sliver of light, reminding you of what you've lost. The cost of not choosing yourself at this point becomes the cost of living a haunted life, haunted by the ghost of the person you were supposed to be. You see the life you built, and the life that's waiting, and standing between them is everything you're afraid of. Choosing yourself, let me be clear, is perhaps the hardest thing you will ever do, because it means letting go. It means letting go of everything you've been taught, everything you've believed, everything you've built your identity around for 40 years. It means facing your shadows. It means finally sitting down with the parts of yourself you've been trying to hide, the anger you were never allowed to express, the sadness you never allowed yourself to feel, the desires you never permitted yourself to acknowledge. All of that has to come out. It has to be seen. It has to be integrated. And this process is messy. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. But it's more than just facing the dark. It's also grieving. You have to grieve the decades you spent pretending. You have to mourn the you that never got to be, the paths not taken, the words not spoken. This grief is a vital part of the cost. There will be moments when you question everything, when you wonder if you're making a terrible mistake, when you long for the simplicity of your old life, even though you know it was killing you. This is the real price of admission. The cost of not choosing yourself is a slow death, yes, but the cost of choosing yourself is a hard, painful, necessary rebirth. And then, there are the others. When you finally stop pretending, people notice, and some of them won't like it. In fact, some of them will be deeply threatened by it, because your authenticity, it reminds them of their own pretending. Your new light is too bright. It forces them to see their own cages, and they will hate you for it. They are the guardians of your old prison. So they'll try to pull you back. They'll question your choices. They'll tell you you've changed, as if it's an accusation. They'll use that word, selfish. They will say you're being foolish, irresponsible, that you're throwing away a perfectly good life. And if you're not careful, you'll believe them. This is the test. But you can't go back. You've tasted real freedom. You've felt what it's like to live from your own center. You can't go back to sleep. So you're left with only one terrible, beautiful choice, which leads to the ultimate dilemma. So this is the crossroads your 40s present. This is the choice. Option A, the slow death. You keep pretending. You keep wearing the mask. You keep living the life that everyone else thinks you should live. You say yes when you mean no. You smile when you're miserable, and you die a little bit, every single day. Your life doesn't end, but it becomes gray, mechanical, automatic. It has the taste of ash. It's the smell of a room with the windows never opened. This is the true cost of not choosing yourself. It's not a dramatic explosion. It's a slow fade into meaninglessness. It's the quiet, agonizing regret that will be waiting for you at 60, at 70, at 80. It's the what if. What if I had been brave? What if I had listened to myself? Is that what you came here for? To be a machine? To be a good robot? I don't think so. I think you came here to be alive. And then there's option B, the hard rebirth. It's the unknown. It's the path of choosing yourself, fully, completely, without apology. It's terrifying. It means facing the fear. It means uncertainty. It means challenges. It means walking through the fire of your own shadows and the resistance of others. It's the harder path, in the short term, but it's the only one that leads back to life. It is choosing life itself, with all its mess and fire and glory. Because here's the thing. In your 40s, the slow death starts to feel worse than the hard rebirth. The comfortable discomfort of your inauthentic life. It's not comfortable anymore. It's suffocating. The cost of staying the same, of wasting the entire second half of your one precious life, becomes infinitely, unbearably higher than the cost of changing. You realize the prison isn't safe. It's just a coffin. You realize the cost of staying the same is infinitely higher than the cost of changing. And when you finally pay that price, something you forgot existed returns. It's peace. But not the kind of peace that comes from controlling everything, from having it all figured out, from making sure nothing bad ever happens. No, it's a different kind of peace. It's the peace that comes from accepting what is. It's the peace that comes from trusting life. It's the peace of knowing that whatever happens, you'll be okay. Because you are no longer pretending. You are no longer divided. You are no longer at war with yourself. It is the peace of the mountain. Solid, present, unshakable.
You become whole, integrated, complete. You discover that silent center inside you, that still point, that awareness that watches everything but is touched by nothing. This is the ocean realization. You've spent your life thinking you were just one little wave, separate, trying to survive, afraid of crashing on the shore. And then you realize you're not the wave. You're the ocean. You've always been the ocean. And suddenly, being a wave becomes fun. It's play. It's the ocean enjoying itself.
This changes everything. Your relationships change. Not because you leave everyone, but because you show up differently. You're no longer desperate for approval. You're not needy. You stop negotiating your own worth. You're just present, real, yourself, and the right people. The ones who resonate with your truth. They appear, because like attracts like. Authentic connection can only happen between authentic people. Before, it was just two masks talking to each other. Now, it's two souls. Your work changes too. Not necessarily what you do, but how you do it. You can no longer tolerate work that violates your values, that drains your energy. Your work becomes an expression of who you are. Even your body changes. The tension you've been carrying for 40 years starts to release. The headaches, the chronic pain, the anxiety. So much of it was just your body screaming that you were living out of alignment. When you choose yourself, the body relaxes. It trusts you again. It heals. You are no longer a collection of parts. You are a presence. You are whole. And from this place, the rest of your life begins. So here we are. We've walked through the performance, the selfish trap, the painful awakening, the shadow work, and the profound, in-your-bones peace that waits on the other side. We've looked at the true, painful cost of not choosing yourself in your 40s, this critical tipping point of your life. It's not just regret. It's a slow death by 1,000 daily compromises. It's the fading of your own light. Life is short. It is so much shorter than you think. And your 40s, this is the halftime show. The first half, that was the rehearsal. That was for learning the rules, for pleasing the audience, for building the set. But this second half, this one is for you. This is the one that counts. This is the game. And the second half is not a guarantee. It's a privilege. Every single moment you continue to spend not being yourself is a moment lost. Forever. So the choice is yours. It has always been yours. Will you keep pretending? Will you keep wearing the mask, going through the motions, and paying the price of a life half-lived? Or will you step through the door? Will you choose yourself, fully, completely, without apology? Not tomorrow. Not when things are more settled. Not when you have more courage. Now. The cost of not choosing is no longer a line of credit. The bill is in your hand. Payment is due. Choose yourself. If this is the kind of conversation you've been craving, the kind that feels like it's speaking right to your soul, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, and I'd love to know where this is finding you. Comment below with your city and what time it is for you. It's amazing to see where we're all connecting from.